The observation chamber of the Galactic Medical Institute hummed with the soft pulsing of quantum processors. Senior researcher X427 adjusted the calibration on the molecular scanner for the fourth time, mandibles clicking in frustration. The readings couldn't be correct, yet they remained stubbornly consistent. Analysis complete, the system announced in its melodic tone. Sample displays unprecedented cellular activity. X427's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of deep concentration among the Archean species. The holographic display showed a single drop of human blood, magnified to reveal the microscopic drama unfolding within. What should have been a simple examination had turned into the most perplexing moment of their 3-century research career. Computer, replay sequence with enhanced focus on leukocyte behavior, X427 commanded, their crystalline appendages dancing across the control surface. The hologram shifted, zeroing in on a white blood cell as it pursued a bacterial invader. This was standard enough. Most species had some form of cellular defense. What happened next defied everything X427 knew about biology. The leukocyte didn't simply consume the bacteria. It analyzed it, adapted its structure, and created a perfect counter to the invader's defenses. Then, impossibly, it transmitted this information to nearby cells, creating a cascade of evolutionary responses that occurred in real time. Computer, time-scale verification. Real-time analysis confirmed. Cellular adaptation occurred within 3.7 standard minutes. X427 sank into their support cradle, all 4 primary limbs trembling slightly. In their species, genetic adaptation took generations. Most advanced races engineered their immune responses through carefully programmed nanobots or synthetic antibodies. But this was something else entirely. They activated the lab's communication array. Research Director L9, your immediate presence is requested in Observation Chamber 7. The director arrived promptly, their bioluminescent patches glowing with mild annoyance at the interruption. This had better be significant, senior researcher. Director, observe the human sample's response to introduced pathogens. The simulation played again. Director L9's bioluminescence shifted from annoyed purple to shocked white. That's impossible. The equipment must be malfunctioning. I verify the calibration 4 times. This is accurate data. They watched together as the human immune cells continued their remarkable performance. Each cellular interaction revealed new complexities. Memory cells carrying libraries of past encounters, helper cells coordinating responses like tiny generals, and killer cells executing precision strikes against threats. Do all humans possess this capability? Director L9 asked, their voice barely a whisper. According to the baseline data, yes. This is from a completely average human specimen. They're not just surviving these attacks, they're learning from them. Each response is cataloged, adapted, and stored for future reference. The director's appendages twitched nervously, and they developed this naturally. That's the most remarkable part. No genetic engineering, no synthetic enhancement. This evolved on their home world. A planet we classified as highly hostile due to its overwhelming variety of pathogens. L9 added, realization dawning in their luminescent patterns. X427 manipulated the controls, bringing up Earth's biological diversity statistics. What we perceived as a disadvantage appears to have been the crucible that forged this system. Their immune responses aren't just advanced. They're beyond anything we've achieved with centuries of directed evolution and technological intervention. The director was silent for a long moment, watching the intricate dance of cellular warfare and adaptation. Finally, they spoke. Prepare a comprehensive report. This changes everything we thought we knew about biological defense systems. And X427. Yes, Director. We need a human expert. Find someone who can explain how their species achieved this level of biological sophistication, while we were busy believing ourselves to be the pinnacle of evolution. As the director departed, Zix-427 turned back to the holographic display, watching in continued amazement as the human cells conducted their microscopic ballet of survival. In all their years of xenobiology research, they had never seen anything quite so beautiful or so terrifying in its efficiency. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the holographic invitation floating above her desk for the 5th time that morning. The prestigious seal of the Galactic Medical Institute pulsed gently in the air, its quantum-encrypted authenticity markers impossible to forge. Yet something about the invitation's urgency made her wonder what she wasn't being told. "Your presence is required at the Advanced Species Medical Conference," she read aloud again, "including full access to the xenobiology research wing." That last part was particularly intriguing. Humans had never been granted such access before. Her lab assistant, Marcus, peered over her shoulder. "They're not even giving you time to prepare a proper presentation." "No," Sarah mused, scrolling through the details again. "They want me there in 3 days. That's barely enough time for the quantum jump to their facility." She began packing her research tablets, mind racing through possibilities. In her 15 years as Earth's leading immunologist, she'd published extensively on human adaptive immunity. Yet the galactic community had always seemed politely disinterested in human biological research, until now. The journey to the Institute took exactly 71 hours. Sarah spent most of it reviewing her research data, trying to anticipate what might have sparked such sudden interest. The quantum chip's AI kept her comfortable, but she barely noticed its attentions, lost in molecular diagrams and cellular response patterns. When she arrived at the Institute's massive crystalline structure, the welcome was peculiar. A delegation of various species awaited her, more high-ranking researchers than she'd ever seen in one place. Their biosigns showed elevated stress patterns, visible in the subtle color changes of their skin or the rapid movements of their sensory organs. Dr. Chen, the tallest figure, stepped forward, its crystalline form catching the light. "I am Director L9. Thank you for coming on such short notice." Sarah noted how the director's bioluminescent patches pulsed with barely contained excitement. "The honor is mine, Director. Though I admit to some curiosity about the urgency. All will be explained. Please, follow me to the presentation chamber." The chamber turned out to be more of an amphitheater, filled with hundreds of the galaxy's leading medical experts. Sarah felt her heart rate increase as she walked to the central platform. The silence was absolute, every eye, optical sensor, and sensory organ fixed upon her. Director L9 addressed the assembly. "Esteemed colleagues, we have with us Dr. Sarah Chen, Earth's leading expert on human immunology. Dr. Chen, would you please explain to us how human children develop their immune systems?" It seemed like an oddly basic question for such an advanced gathering. Sarah brought up a holographic display of human cellular development. "Well, the process begins in infancy. Human children are born with innate immunity, but their adaptive immunity develops through exposure to." She paused. The entire audience had leaned forward at the word exposure, their various biological signs showing intense interest. A ripple of untranslatable murmurs passed through the crowd. "Please continue, Dr. Chen." Director L9 encouraged, particularly about how human children interact with pathogens. Sarah expanded the hologram to show a 3-dimensional view of a child's developing immune system. "Our children naturally encounter millions of microorganisms. Their immune systems learn from each encounter, building a library of responses that—" A loud thud interrupted her as one of the alien doctors fainted, their assistant rushing to administer stabilizing medications. Others were frantically taking notes or showing signs of agitation. "Dr. Chen," Director L9's voice carried a note of barely contained excitement. "Would you say this exposure-based learning is normal for humans?" "Completely normal," she replied, increasingly puzzled by their reactions. "It's how we've evolved over millions of years." The director's crystalline form sparkled with intensity. "And could you explain exactly how many microorganisms live symbiotically within an average human body?" As Sarah prepared to answer, she finally understood their fascination. She wasn't just delivering a presentation. She was revealing something that challenged everything they thought they knew about biological defense systems. The question was, why now? Dr. Chen took a deep breath before continuing her presentation. The average human body contains approximately 38 trillion microorganisms living in symbiotic relationship with our cells. The number triggered another wave of murmurs through the amphitheater. A Meridian researcher, their crystalline form shimmering with agitation, raised an appendage. "You mean to say," they began, voice modulator wavering, "that humans knowingly coexist with these organisms?" Not only coexist, Sarah expanded her holographic display, showing the complex ecosystem within the human gut. We depend on them. Many of these microorganisms are essential for our digestion, immune function, and even mental health. Director L9's bioluminescent patches flickered rapidly. "Dr. Chen, perhaps you could explain how human children navigate their early years with this exposure-based system." Sarah pulled up data from her pediatric immunology research. Certainly, human infants receive their first immune boost from their mothers through antibodies passed during pregnancy and nursing. After that, their immune systems begin learning through direct environmental interaction. She displayed a time-lapse simulation of a child's first 5 years of immune development. The alien audience watched, transfixed, as the holographic representation showed the constant battle and adaptation occurring within human cells. Each scraped knee, each handful of dirt examined by a curious toddler, each interaction with other children. These all contribute to building a robust immune system, Sarah explained, warming to her subject. Our children's immune cells catalog these experiences, learning and adapting with each encounter. A Volturian scientist, their neural tendrils writhing in distress, interrupted. But the risks, the sheer number of potential pathogens, are precisely what made our immune systems so adaptable, Sarah completed the thought. Earth's biodiversity, including its microbial life, created an evolutionary pressure that forced our immune systems to become incredibly sophisticated. She brought up a new diagram, showing the layered defenses of human immunity. We have multiple redundant systems, physical barriers like skin and mucous membranes, innate immunity that provides broad-spectrum defense, and adaptive immunity that creates specific responses to new threats. The amphitheater had grown so quiet that Sarah could hear the soft hum of the holographic projectors. She noticed several researchers recording every word, while others appeared to be running calculations on their neural interfaces. Most remarkably, she continued, our immune cells communicate with each other, sharing information about threats and coordinating responses. When a new pathogen is encountered, our bodies create a specific defense against it and remember that solution for future reference. A young Archean researcher raised their crystalline appendage. Dr. Chen, our scans indicate that your immune system is currently neutralizing several potential pathogens. Are you aware of this? Sarah smiled. No, actually. This happens automatically, without our conscious awareness. Right now, my immune system is probably handling thousands of potential threats while we're having this conversation. The resulting chaos in the amphitheater took several minutes to settle. Director L9 had to activate a calming resonance field before order could be restored. What you're describing, the director said carefully, is not just an immune system. It's a continuously evolving biological defense network that operates autonomously, adapts to new threats, and maintains a complex database of responses, all while supporting the symbiotic relationship with trillions of microorganisms. Yes, Sarah replied simply. That's standard for humans. She watched as the implications of this settled over the audience. Their own species relied on carefully controlled environments and technological interventions to maintain health. The idea of a naturally evolved system this sophisticated seemed to challenge their fundamental understanding of biology. One final question. Dr. Chen, Director L9's voice carried a note of barely concealed awe. How does your species handle the constant energy requirements of maintaining such an active immune system? Sarah brought up her final diagram, unaware that her answer would trigger yet another round of astonishment. The remarkable truth about human immune systems was just beginning to unfold. The first reports of equipment malfunction came from the quantum medical bay on Station Helios. Dr. Chen stood beside senior engineer Kex-12, watching as another diagnostic scanner displayed impossible readings before shutting down completely. "This is the 7th unit this week," Kex-12 chittered, their insectoid appendages moving in agitation across the scanner's control surface. "Each time a human patient enters the chamber, our systems become overwhelmed with data." Sarah examined the error logs on her tablet. "Your equipment is designed to track individual cellular changes, right?" "Correct. It monitors immune response patterns for all known species." The engineer's compound eyes reflected the blinking error messages. "But when we scan humans, there are too many simultaneous processes to record." The holographic display showed a cascade of immune responses from their latest human subject, a routine health check that had crashed 3 different scanning systems. Sarah watched as the playback revealed thousands of concurrent cellular adaptations, each triggering dozens more in a chain reaction of biological activity. "Your scanners are trying to track each individual cellular change," she realized. "But human immune systems don't work in linear patterns. They operate in parallel, with multiple adaptations happening simultaneously." Director L9 entered the medical bay, their crystalline form dimmer than usual, a sign of extended work periods. "Dr. Chen, we need your expertise to develop new diagnostic protocols. Our current technology is based on predictable, engineered immune responses. Your species has shown us that we need to think differently." Over the next several days, Sarah worked with a team of alien engineers to redesign their diagnostic systems. Instead of tracking individual cellular changes, they developed a new approach that monitored patterns and trends in immune response. "It's like watching weather patterns instead of trying to track each raindrop," she explained to the engineering team. "We need to see the overall system behavior, not just its components." The breakthrough came when they incorporated quantum processing that could handle parallel observation streams. The new scanner hummed to life, its holographic display showing the intricate dance of human immune response in real time. "Fascinating," Kex-12 observed as they watched a replay of the latest scan. "Your immune cells don't just fight infections. They communicate, adapt, and even seem to predict potential threats based on previous encounters." Sarah nodded. "That's why our systems appear so chaotic to your equipment. Each immune cell acts like part of a vast neural network, sharing information and updating responses constantly." The implications extended beyond mere equipment upgrades. As alien medical experts studied the data from the new scanners, they began to understand just how sophisticated natural evolution could become under the right pressures. "Your species evolved on a planet that should have killed you," Director L9 commented during one late-night analysis session. "Instead, it forced you to develop biological systems more advanced than our best-engineered solutions." The medical bay's new quantum displays showed a 3-dimensional map of human immune response patterns. The complexity was beautiful, a symphony of cellular adaptation played out in microscopic scale. "We've been approaching immunity wrong," one of the younger researchers observed. "We tried to create perfect, controlled systems, but nature found a better way. Adaptive, flexible, constantly evolving." Sarah watched as the alien medical team began incorporating these insights into their research. Their technology needed to evolve as dynamically as human cells did, not by becoming more controlled, but by embracing adaptability and parallel processing. As she prepared her notes for the next day's session, a priority message flashed across her tablet. New reports were coming in from medical stations across 3 systems. Something unprecedented was happening, and humanity's unique immune system might hold the key to understanding it. She looked up at the quantum display, still showing the intricate patterns of human cellular defense. They had only begun to unravel the mysteries of natural immunity, and already the galaxy was changing because of it. The observation chamber fell silent as Dr. Chen reviewed the latest test results. What had started as routine recovery rate comparisons had evolved into something unprecedented. On the quantum display before them, cellular data from 20 different species scrolled in parallel, each showing responses to common pathogens. "Run the comparison again," Sarah requested, her eyes fixed on the human sample's readout. Senior researcher 6427 adjusted the controls with crystalline appendages. "This is the 5th iteration, Dr. Chen. The results remain consistent. The numbers didn't lie. While most species required significant medical intervention to fight off even minor infections, human immune systems handled multiple threats simultaneously, often without the host even noticing. Look at this response pattern." Sarah highlighted a section of the data stream. When exposed to the test pathogen, human cells don't just eliminate the threat. They create a distributed network of immune responses. Director L9 leaned forward, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with interest. "Explain the information sharing process." Sarah manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on individual cells. When human immune cells encounter a new threat, they don't just fight it. They analyze it, develop countermeasures, and then share that information with other cells. It's like having billions of tiny research laboratories working in parallel. The display showed memory B cells passing information to other immune cells, creating a cascade of adapted responses. What took other species months of careful medical treatment, human bodies accomplished in days or even hours. The efficiency is remarkable. Zix 427 noted, their mandibles clicking in excitement. "But the energy cost must be less than you'd expect," Sarah interrupted, bringing up new data. "Human immune systems are incredibly efficient. They maintain a baseline defense network, but can rapidly scale up response when needed. It's like having a standing army that can instantly train and deploy specialized units." A junior researcher raised their appendage. "Dr. Chen, our latest scans show something unusual in the cellular memory patterns. Could you explain this structure?" Sarah examined the new data and smiled. "That's one of humanity's greatest advantages. Our immune cells don't just remember specific threats. They can recognize patterns and adapt to similar but previously unknown pathogens. It's predictive defense." The implications stunned the assembled researchers. Their own species relied on carefully programmed responses to known threats. The concept of an immune system that could anticipate and adapt to new dangers challenged everything they thought they knew about biological defense. "Show them the recovery rates," Director L9 suggested, their crystalline form sparkling with barely contained excitement. Sarah nodded and brought up the comparative analysis. The chamber erupted in murmurs as the data appeared. Human recovery rates from common infections were orders of magnitude faster than other species, with fewer resources required and minimal medical intervention needed. "This is why we rarely notice fighting off minor infections," Sarah explained. "Our immune systems handle most threats automatically, leaving us free to continue our daily activities." One of the Meridian researchers spoke up, their voice modulator trembling slightly. "You mean humans remain conscious and active while fighting multiple pathogens?" "Usually, yes. Unless the threat is severe enough to require rest, our immune systems operate independently of our conscious awareness." The revelation sent ripples through the chamber. The idea of remaining functional while fighting off infections seemed impossible to species that required medical stasis for even minor ailments. "Dr. Chen," Director L9's voice carried a note of reverence, "I believe we've been looking at this backward. We saw human biology as primitive because it evolved naturally. But that evolution created something far more sophisticated than our engineered solutions." Sarah studied the cellular dance playing out on the quantum display. Human immune cells moved with purpose and precision, coordinating responses in ways that made artificial immune systems look clumsy and inefficient by comparison. "There's more," she said quietly, bringing up a new data set. "We've only scratched the surface of what human immune systems can do. Wait until you see how they handle long-term adaptation." The chamber grew still as she prepared to reveal yet another aspect of human biological sophistication. Nature, it seemed, had a few more surprises in store for them. The young Meridian researcher, Tel-8, hovered at the entrance to Dr. Chen's laboratory, their crystalline form vibrating with nervous energy. Sarah noticed the hesitation and smiled encouragingly. "Something on your mind, Tel-8?" "Dr. Chen, I've been analyzing the evolutionary data from Earth's historical records." Tel-8's voice modulator wavered slightly. "The sheer number of pathogenic challenges your species faced, it's extraordinary." Sarah gestured to the empty seat beside her workstation. The quantum displays showed a three-dimensional map of Earth's biological diversity, focusing on microscopic life forms. "What caught your attention?" she asked, noting the complex calculations running through Tel-8's crystalline matrix. "Everything." The young researcher's enthusiasm burst forth. "Your planet's bacterial and viral diversity alone exceeds the combined total of all currently mapped systems. By our traditional metrics, Earth should be classified as a death world. Instead, it became an incubator for one of the most sophisticated immune systems we've ever encountered." Sarah brought up a historical timeline of human evolution, overlaid with major disease events. Each challenge we faced forced adaptation. Every plague, every pandemic, every new pathogen. They all contributed to what we are now. Director L9 entered the laboratory, accompanied by a team of xenobiologists from various species. Their presence had become more frequent as the implications of human immunity became clearer. "Dr. Chen," the director's bioluminescent patches pulsed with excitement, "we've completed the preliminary analysis of Earth's microbial ecosystem. The results are revolutionary." The main display filled with data streams showing the intricate relationships between human immune systems and Earth's countless microorganisms. It wasn't just about fighting off threats. It was about maintaining balance with an entire world of microscopic life. "Your immune systems don't just defend," one of the xenobiologists observed, their sensory tendrils waving in fascination. "They negotiate, adapt, and even collaborate with certain microorganisms. It's a biological democracy rather than a simple defense network." Sarah nodded, expanding the display to show the symbiotic relationships. "We evolved alongside these organisms. Our immune systems learn to distinguish between beneficial partners and actual threats. It's why we can host billions of beneficial bacteria while simultaneously fighting off harmful ones." Tel-8's crystalline form sparkled with sudden insight. "That's why our engineered solutions seem primitive by comparison. We tried to create perfect barriers and controlled responses, but nature found a better way through complexity and adaptation." The laboratory filled with excited discussion as researchers began proposing new studies. The focus shifted from merely understanding human immunity to learning from Earth's evolutionary laboratory. "We need to establish a permanent research station on Earth," Director L9 announced. "With Dr. Chen's permission, of course. There's too much to learn about microscopic life and its role in developing advanced biological systems." Sarah smiled at the irony. Just weeks ago, many of these same researchers had viewed Earth as a primitive backwater. Now they saw it as an invaluable source of biological innovation. "There's something beautiful about it," Tel-8 mused, watching the display of immune cells interacting with various microorganisms. "The most advanced system we found didn't come from a laboratory or engineering project. It emerged from billions of years of challenges and adaptations." "That's the thing about evolution," Sarah replied, bringing up a new simulation of human immune responses. "It doesn't aim for perfection. It aims for survival, adaptation, and balance. Sometimes that creates solutions we would never have imagined possible." The laboratory's quantum displays danced with images of cellular interaction, each one revealing new layers of complexity in the relationship between humans and their microscopic world. As Sarah prepared to demonstrate another aspect of immune response, she noticed the researchers' attention shift to a new data stream. Something unexpected had appeared in the latest analysis, a pattern that suggested human immune systems might be even more remarkable than they had imagined. The next revelation was about to unfold. The quantum laboratory hummed with energy as Dr. Chen and Tel-8 examined the latest data stream. What had started as a routine analysis of memory B cells had revealed something extraordinary. "Play it again," Sarah requested, leaning closer to the holographic display. "Focus on the cellular response patterns during the third iteration." The simulation showed human immune cells responding to a newly introduced pathogen. But this time, they were watching something deeper than the immediate response. They were seeing the legacy of millions of years of evolution encoded in cellular memory. "It's beautiful," Tel-8's crystalline form shimmed with excitement. "Your immune cells don't just remember specific threats. They remember the patterns of adaptation itself." Director L9 entered the laboratory with several senior researchers in tow. "Dr. Chen, is it true? Have you found evidence of meta-learning in human immune responses?" Sarah nodded, expanding the display to show multiple cellular interactions. "It's more than we expected. Human immune cells carry what you might call a biological database, but it's not just a static collection of past encounters." She highlighted a sequence where memory cells were teaching newer cells not just what to fight, but how to adapt. "Look at this pattern. The cells are passing on strategies, not just specific responses. It's like they're teaching each other the art of warfare, not just the weapons to use." The alien researchers gathered around the display, their various sensory organs fixed on the cellular dance before them. What they were seeing went beyond their understanding of biological memory. "Traditional cellular memory is like a library," Tel-8 explained to the group, their voice modulator trembling with enthusiasm. "But this is like having a living university inside every human body, complete with teachers and students." Sarah brought up comparative data from their earlier studies. "We knew human immune systems could learn from experience, but this shows they've learned how to learn better over time. Each generation of cells builds on the accumulated wisdom of millions of years." "Impossible," one of the senior researchers muttered, their neural tendrils writhing. "The storage capacity required for such complex information is handled through elegant compression." Sarah completed the thought. "The cells don't store every possible response. They store principles and patterns that can be applied to new situations. It's why humans can often fight off novel pathogens that they've never encountered before." Director L9's bioluminescent patches pulsed rapidly. "This changes everything we thought we knew about biological information storage and transfer. Our engineered systems store data in quantum matrices, but this natural solution is far more sophisticated." The laboratory's main display showed a time-lapse of human immune cells teaching each other, passing on not just information but problem-solving strategies that had been refined since the first humans walked the Earth. "We need to rebuild our medical technologies from the ground up," Tel-8 suggested, their crystalline form practically vibrating with excitement. "Instead of trying to program perfect responses, we should create systems that can learn and adapt like this." Sarah smiled, remembering how recently these same researchers had viewed human biology as primitive. Now they were seeing the elegance and solutions that nature had spent eons perfecting. "There's something else," she said, bringing up a new data set. "We've discovered that this cellular memory system doesn't just work with immune responses. It appears to influence other aspects of human biology as well." The laboratory grew quiet as the implications sank in. They weren't just looking at an immune system. They were seeing a sophisticated biological network that had evolved to protect and adapt all aspects of human physiology. As the researchers began discussing applications and possibilities, a priority alert flashed across the quantum displays. Something unprecedented was happening in the medical bay, where human immune cells were demonstrating capabilities that no one had predicted. The cellular memory they'd discovered was just the beginning. Nature, it seemed, had more surprises in store for them. The inauguration chamber of the Galactic Medical Institute's new Earth Biology Department sparkled with the bioluminescence of hundreds of excited researchers. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the podium, looking out over an audience that represented the finest scientific minds from across known space. Behind her, the quantum displays showed real-time footage from Earth's first dedicated xenobiology research station, where teams of alien scientists worked alongside human immunologists to unlock the secrets of natural adaptation. 3 months ago, Sarah began. A simple blood sample challenged everything we thought we knew about biological defense systems. Today, we begin a new chapter in medical science. The main display shifted to show the latest breakthrough, a hybrid medical system that combined the precision of alien technology with the adaptability of human immune responses. Tel 8, now heading the Adaptive Systems Division, stepped forward to explain. By studying human cellular memory and adaptation, we've developed technologies that can learn and evolve. Their crystalline form glowed with pride as they demonstrated the new system. Instead of fighting against nature, we're finally learning to work with it. Director L9 joined them at the podium, their bioluminescent patches pulsing with formal dignity. The Galactic Medical Board has officially reclassified Earth from a hostile biological environment to a prime research ecosystem. The complexity we once feared has become our greatest teacher. The display showed scenes from recent medical trials, where the new adaptation-based treatments had achieved results that would have seemed impossible just months ago. Species that had relied entirely on technological immune support were beginning to develop their own adaptive responses, guided by principles learned from human biology. What makes this particularly remarkable, Sarah continued, bringing up comparative data, is how each species develops its own unique adaptation patterns. We're not copying human immunity. We're learning from its principles to enhance natural biological systems. A young Meridian researcher raised their appendage. Dr. Chen, could you explain how the cellular memory transfer has been adapted for non-human biology? Sarah smiled, remembering their early struggles to understand these processes. She brought up a new simulation showing how they'd modified the teaching behavior of human immune cells to work with other species' biological systems. The key was understanding that nature doesn't work in absolutes. Each solution evolves to fit its environment. She highlighted a sequence showing alien cells beginning to develop adaptive responses. We're not replacing existing immune systems, we're awakening their natural potential for adaptation. Tel 8 added, the most fascinating aspect is how each species' immune system develops its own personality once it learns to adapt. It's like watching evolution in fast forward, guided by millions of years of encoded wisdom from human cellular memory. The chamber's quantum displays danced with images of successful treatments and breakthrough discoveries. What had started with a puzzling blood sample had grown into a revolution in medical science. But perhaps the most important lesson, Sarah concluded, looking out over the assembled researchers, is one of perspective. We thought we knew what advanced meant. We equated technological sophistication with progress. Nature showed us a different path, one of adaptation, cooperation, and endless innovation. Director L9's crystalline form sparkled as they made the final announcement. In recognition of this paradigm shift, the Galactic Medical Institute is establishing a new classification system for biological advancement. No longer will we measure progress solely by technological achievement, but by the sophistication of natural adaptation. As the chamber erupted in excited discussion, Sarah watched the real-time feeds from Earth's research station. Human children played in carefully monitored environments, while alien researchers studied their developing immune systems. The fear of human biology had been replaced by wonder and respect. On the main display, a quote from one of the earliest research notes scrolled past. What's the issue with human immune systems? Everything we thought we knew about biological advancement was wrong. The future of medical science stretched before them, rich with possibilities that neither human ingenuity nor alien technology alone could have achieved. Together, they had discovered that the most sophisticated systems weren't created in laboratories. They were grown through billions of years of meeting challenges, adapting, and evolving.